What's up, y'all? It's James. Doing a little video on a carburetor rebuild or I guess rebuild kit for a 2005 Z-737 John Deere lawnmower, zero turn. I inherited it from my dad. It's been sitting up for a little bit, but I've been working on it, trying to get it back ready to go. Changed out the fuel pump. I've redid the oil. I'm getting ready to redo the hydraulics here in a little bit. I had to release the hydraulics to be able to make it move manually. It's not the same setup as the others, and I didn't see anything online, so I'll put a video to that as well. My first video ever, so we'll just see how this goes. I'm going to roll all the way through it. I've already done a decent amount. I have cleaned everything out. Probably not very good lighting, but I mean, it is what it is. I've got as much crud as I could get out of there. Use a lot of carburetor cleaner. I've just been using this gum out spray, carbon choke parts cleaner. About the cheapest one with the most amount of cheapest for the size, and it's been going pretty well. I can't complain. All this stuff had gaskets on it that were pretty old, so I've been using this little razor blade right here to cut everything off, cut off all the old gaskets and clean everything up. Works pretty good. Probably did more than I need to in terms of cleaning it, because I hit it with this and then I come back with my Dremel with this like Scotch-Brite kind of pad, and just knock off all the loose stuff, and it actually takes the burrs down from, if you do raise a burr, cutting with this. Now the gasket should take up for all that inconsistencies that you would have cutting into it and everything, but it worked well. So I went to, I believe it's Weingarts. This is how you say it. Let me look it up. Weingartz, Weingarts.com. You can pull up pretty much anything you need. Look at all of it. So I ordered the kit off from my local John Deere. You can also order it off of this online right there as one whole kit. And I printed out the diagram for it, so that's just what I'm going to be going off of. This is my first ever rebuild, but I mean, pretty mechanically inclined, do electrical programming as well, so I mean, it's pretty straightforward in terms of what you need to do. So yeah, let's get started, see what I'm gonna do here. So according to this picture, I have never took these two out, wasn't really sure what they're for, probably figured it out by now. So I'm gonna remove these two bolts. A lot of this stuff has been very hard to get. They had some bolts right here that I was basically about to strip out, so I actually wound up getting a very small pair of channel locks on these and breaking them loose, and then coming back with a screwdriver to prevent from stripping out these bolts on here. Don't believe it's ever been rebuilt, but for the price of a free lawnmower, I'll invest into it, in the parts here and there. It's only got 500 hours on it, so it barely made it to its it hadn't even made it to its 1,000-hour maintenance, so I believe it's pretty good to go. It's been kept up pretty well. Probably hadn't ran in the last 5 years, but still a good lawnmower. And I went back and looked at it. My dad, who I inherited it from, went and downsized whenever it was starting to mess up on them. The motor mounts came loose. The motor turned sideways, is leaning up against the tensioner pulley, tore up all the fan guard, and whole bunch of mess. So I've been working with it, trying to get it size 12mm to get this off. I do not know the terminology on anything, so I will not be giving you the terminology on anything. I will give you what I think it's called or what I think it is, and if not, may make up something and just keep on rolling. So hopefully my little 2-year-old son, he's asleep right now, so hopefully he stays asleep. See if I can get these off. A lot of this stuff has been very torqued down. I'm sure it's, like I say, factory tight. So I'm just going with it. speak a little bit here and there. But these little Scotch-Brite pads, I mean, I went ahead and bought me another 100 of these things because this thing is definitely worth it. So this opens up to a jet, but I'm not about to mess with too much stuff. I got the replacement part for these things, so I'm gonna go ahead and change all this out since I have the parts. And no point in me wasting the money I just spent on this kit. I want to say it was like $50, so it ain't too bad. Taking it apart wasn't bad neither. Half of the stuff was destroyed and already missing, so it really made it a lot easier to get to. But I've since reordered the cover. The fan was tore up. If you don't know anything, for a fan on a motor, fans are there to keep the motor cool and help it to distribute the heat or get rid of the heat. So you definitely want to have it. Didn't have a cover. I have a 2-year-old son who thinks this thing is a toy, jungle gym. So I am definitely replacing everything I can to just ensure his safety. So the last thing I want is anything happening to him. And I mean, it's probably only about a couple $100 into this. So I'm really, for the price of the motor, for the price of the whole system, in 2005, my dad paid $7,800 for this thing. So it's pretty, it's worth to try to bring it back. It's a commercial grade machine, and he was only using it to cut 8 acres. And so less than 500 hours of runtime. It's definitely still in good condition. I haven't went all the way into it to try to figure out exactly. I haven't opened up any piston heads or not shit like that, but I am just working my way through it. See what I come up with or what I find. So I've actually just opened this up. I am going to hit it with my carburetor cleaner real quick and see that they've got these jets inside of this. So this is what they would, I guess, consider the bowl. This is where it holds the gas. You have the backfire thingy that whenever you're running, it pulls out, lets the gas flow. As soon as you turn the engine off, it closes off the gas to prevent a backfire. I pulled that out. I don't know if that was one of the reasons it wasn't working, but I figured I'm gonna just go ahead and go all the way with this and try to get my machine up to working order and hopefully don't have to pull it apart again for a long time. So I'm just about to shoot these off camera real quick. They got 2 little jets on each side. Make sure they're clear. Now, my dad did do a good job of not letting it sit up. He ran the gas out of it before he stowed it away for where it was sitting at. I just shoot it till I see it run. Look like it's coming out. Shooting these, and it's coming out of this jet in this hole. There's another hole right here. He's squirting there. It'll come out of these 2 holes. Not sure what any of this actually does, but it's not too much of my worry right now. I'm just trying to get it going. Let me hit this one side. I'm sure you should be wearing gloves when you do all this. I have gloves, just didn't put them on. I do have safety glasses, but they're on top of my head, so they're just there for show right now. I do have a lot of my stuff that I've gotten from Harbor Freight, but gets the job done. That's all I need. Things that I think I need something beefier, I'll invest in it, but I mean, this stuff is so dang cheap, I'm not even gonna, it doesn't bother me. I could go back and buy another one without feeling anything, feeling some type of way about it, you know. So this is my first video. I do this all the time, these kind of things. I'm always messing with stuff, tearing stuff down. Never really made a video for it. And now I don't know where I put my other bowl. Not stealing. Alright, just knocking all the crud off of it. Try to make sure when it goes back in it's decently clean. So camera angle may suck. I may not be doing things in range of the camera. Please forgive me. I'll get better as I go, I promise. So I got my diagram here. Like I said, everything's going to be going off of this diagram. I just copied it off of that Weingart's page. And honestly, I just went to Google, typed in 737 John Deere 2005. That page popped up, clicked on it, and then you've got a diagram for literally every single part of this. Now, you know, they code everything to where you got to go to them to get it, because they ain't going to tell you exactly what it is, but that's fine by me. I went to the John Deere store, ordered what I need. I could have ordered it off of that website. Really don't know the price difference it would have been. I think it was $54 on that website, and I wound up paying $49 for it at John Deere. So, I mean, it probably cheaper to go through John Deere, because I probably would have had to pay shipping as well through that website. And John Deere, they just pull it up quick and easy. They already have it set up, and it takes them 2 seconds. So half the time it was a phone call. Once you look it up and find the part, you can just call them and tell them what you need, and they'll order it, and you can call you when it's ready to pick up. So yeah, I'm doing that. I think it's a good way to go. I'm pretty lazy about it. I'd rather somebody else do it, and they've got it fast and efficient, and I believe they get free shipping as well, because where I stay, it's a pretty rural area. Our surrounding area is pretty rural. I'm over here in Beaumont, Texas, and yeah, it's not people are ordering stuff all the time, so I'm sure they get it at premium, or I don't know if I'm saying that right. I always say it backwards, at a discount. So this is my little kit that came in, Kawasaki Genuine Parts, MIA 10686. Like I said, they pull all this up and everything. So for here, I have the two little copper seal or brass seals. This knife, this blade is dull. I've been using it, but I can change it out sooner or later, but it ain't gonna be right now. So I don't know if I should be having content the whole time, or if I should just be going, but like I said, I like to piddle with stuff. My girlfriend doesn't like me saying piddle, because she associates the word piddle with piss. And I guess you could call it that, because I'm just always doing something different. Like I say, I do a little bit of everything. I like to dabble. And so anything that can occupy my time and keep me from being in the house. I'm a country boy. I like to be outside. So, and then when it comes to something like this where I mean, how much is a new lawnmower? So this lawnmower is a 54-inch cut. And it back in 2005, and it's commercial grade. 2005, it cost $7,800. So I could only imagine what they're charging right now. I mean, it's probably damn near doubled. Didn't look it up to see how much it would be now. Really don't care how much it would be now. Like I say, I'd rather put in a little work on the back end and on the front end, or whatever end you're looking at it, back into this lawnmower, front end for me, and get it going, man. It's I'm all about working with my hands and making things happen, and keeping things simple, and yeah, it's I would like to put a little WD-40 on this thing. I got some BC Blaster. I'm gonna put just a dab in the inside of there. Probably won't last long at all, but just to try to keep it. So like I said, it's the back fire thingamajigger. I put a little BC Blaster in it. I guess I'll bring it over here in case I need it again. Or PB Blaster, whatever they call it. You know what I'm saying? We got, us country folk got a little saying for everything, you know, and half the time it may not be correct to you, but to me, it is all I need. I did not clean off this needle, and I see it's got a little bit of film on it. I'm sure it still seals well, but I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down. Like I say, I'd rather try to do it once the right time, the right way, than to be over here tearing stuff off and putting it back together. So I probably invested maybe $400 so far into this thing, trying to get it right. But like I said, it was well taken care of. I believe everything passed. So like I say, I do all this for a living, and it is probably not shooting in the right mode, but who cares? We'll figure this out. I wonder what it takes to change it. I do this for a living, and for me, I service robots, I program robots, I do automation, program process automation. One cool thing I ran across is these straight jaws, channel locks right here. I don't know, channel locks are brand. This will be a straight jaw vice grip, and got these I believe from Lowe's for like $20. Great buy. But channel locks have teeth on them, and so whenever you're tightening up a bolt, loosening up a bolt, it'll actually mar up the bolt, and will, over time, if it's a bolt you're doing to it often, you will round that joker off. And buy you a pair of these straight jaws. They're cheap, and you'll keep the integrity of the faces, I guess you would call it, on the bolt. So I'm just gonna hand snug this up like I did the other ones. So Nipex has a pair like this, but them jokers are a little bit out my price range right now. I'm gonna just go to snug, and then maybe a little bit after that. Not trying to overdo it. Definitely don't want to underdo it, because I'll be pulling this thing back apart again. So keep working. So that is that for this particular piece. My next piece is going to be this right here. Now this mates up with this. I took my bowl out, my float out, and I took the pin out, and it's got a needle valve that goes in there. I'm going to replace that needle valve. It came with the kit. Whenever I was cleaning everything out, let's see if I got something pointy. This is good enough. Whenever I cleaned it out, I cleaned out this hole, sprayed in this hole, sprayed in this hole, sprayed down this, sprayed in the sides, sprayed down here where I don't know what that does, sprayed in here where the needle allows gas to come in until it's full, and it closes it off. Same thing on the other side, these holes, there's actually a hole right here too, I sprayed in that, and there are where the actual, I believe, main gas mixture comes in is right here, and sprayed till that was coming out well on both sides, just judging it by an eyeball. sprayed in each one of these holes because they do something as well. I'm gonna have to pull this off, but like I said, I've cleaned all this up with carburetor cleaner, but this Brillo pad, Scotch Brite pad, whatever the heck they call this thing for the Dremel, is what I've been going back. I've probably been overkill, so all of my gaskets were like I said, it's never been taken off since it's been installed in 2005. So all my gaskets tore and were stuck to it, so I had to go around with this to just get my initial cleaning of it, getting all the debris off of it, and then following that, I went back with this pad. My sister's calling. Let me answer her real quick. All right, I'm back. So I probably did some overkill. I'm sure this is good enough. Just scraping it with that blade. Now there were points in time when I actually had to pull the blade out. This ain't the best thing. It did do the job. It was only $2 a Harbor Freight. Came with 5 extra blades. But time to time I had to pull the blade out itself and work it with just the blade rather than this, because I couldn't get as flat and as tight to certain spots as I wanted to. But I wanted to show y'all this little Brillo pad on this Dremel. So this is a variable speed. I suggest doing anything variable speed. You don't need a Dremel. You can go to Harbor Freight and buy their little cheap version of a Dremel that's variable speed. It goes from 5,000 rounds a minute all the way up to 30,000. I don't need nothing like that. Now this, you definitely need to have eye protection on. And I wish I could make it spin the other direction, but because I'm right-handed, but I'm going to be using it with my left hand, so we'll just go with it from there. I'm just cleaning it up. I've been running it at a higher speed, but I've been kind of tearing it up quicker. So I wanted to see what a lower speed looked like. It's definitely doing a job. Might need a little bit more. I'm trying to be very light with it. Let's go 10,000 revolutions. And I may not get great with it, but I just want to make sure, especially around the parts that need to seal off, smooth. Not super hard pressure. I'm just letting the machine do the work. We've been getting a lot of rain. My wife's complaining about me being on this back porch. She wants the back porch cleaned off, but I'm supposed to be getting the shop built, but all this rain, they can't get the dozer out here to come clear off a little bit of my property to where my shop's going to go. So, alright, that's good enough for me. I don't know if you can tell a difference, but it definitely cleans it up well. I tried it with the wire brush, with the Dremel. I didn't want to put the angle grinder on there with the wire brush. I figured that was too much. But I do like this. I've seen a video of a guy with a little hand sander with one of these pads on there, and that looked like it did a pretty good job. He wasn't working on this. He was working on a piece of a car, but I try to take what I can learn from other crafts and apply it where I can. Like I say, I do a lot in a lot of areas, so I try to learn as much as I can and apply different things in different areas to just become more efficient. You know, a lot of crafts have specialty tools, and sometimes them tools can work for you in other areas. Now, you definitely want to have eye protection on for this right here. For sure have eye protection on. I'm not too much worried about cleaning any of this. We've already hit it with the carburetor cleaner pretty good. And like I said, I think this is really overkill. So I'm not going to go as deep as I did on the other pieces, knowing what I know now. Which ain't very much. So take everything I say with a grain of sand. I'm going to keep cleaning it. Let definitely want to make sure you have eye protection on. And that blade does a pretty dang good job. Like I say, I don't think this is even needed after going through it and doing what I've done. As long as you've gotten the main part clean, and I just want where it fits up at to be clean and debris free. I'm gonna spray this out one time just to make sure that everything's cleaned out. I don't want to throw gunk in there. This is honestly out of order. I should have done this before. I've been cleaning this thing like 5 times till I go back and find something else to clean, and then I come back and spray it all down again. But you live and you learn. And partly my reason for buying this cheaper carburetor cleaner is I was able to buy more of it for a cheaper price, and I've been able to use it as much as I feel like it needs to be used. And I've done went through maybe 3 or 4 cans at this point in time, and I've hit everything. This is where the air filter, air intake couples into it. Sprayed that down, sprayed this down, sprayed the bowl down. It's really not a lot. I'm actually glad I did this because it was, you know, anything you haven't done before is always kind of daunting. And so I'm happy to have had done it, and then also happy to know that it wasn't nowhere near the job that I was expecting it to be. It's pretty darn simple. I've been working on it maybe an hour a day, but like I said, I've been doing a lot of stuff. So hour a day here and there. I might change out the fuel lines after a while, but it looks pretty clean to me. I'm just trying to get this joker started. So in my little preliminary testing, I was able to, my fuel pump was out, changed out the fuel pump, was able to get it turned over, get it rolling. But my next issue came was that wasn't able to start. So I put a little bit of the starter fluid. I ain't got it, just regular old starter fluid. Sprayed it in the intake, pulled off both my air filters, sprayed a little bit in there, tried to turn it over. It did start, so I know my spark plugs are firing. I do not know if both of my coils are working. I do want to test that, but I'm gonna buy a little coil tester, a little cheap small engine one from O'Reilly's or something, and test that when I get there. But if it ain't turning over at all, I've got another issue before me getting to that point. So it's just one step at a time, one thing at a time. The only way you can eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So just taking my little bites here and there and getting it together. Alright, so I've done that part. I'm going to go back and look at this diagram right here. I've already did this portion. I've got the gasket to put in. So what I did learn about this gasket is if it gets it expands when it gets wet. So you definitely want to make sure this bad boy right here is dry. Needle valve goes on there, I'll show you that. These gaskets, I'll probably go for right now where I'm at in the process. I'll probably replace these. So this is a picture of the kit itself. So the parts that are not within this kit are all blurred out, which is very helpful. So I see that I need to do these two right here. Don't know what it is, O-ring, gasket, something. Be the next thing I attack. So I'm going to have to pull these out. I believe this one is the choke, and don't quote me on anything, because I don't think this is the choke. Yes, I do. I believe this is the choke. And then this is, maybe this is the choke. I don't know. This is the choke. I believe this is where the gas comes in at and then goes out to the manifold, through the manifold to the top of the piston heads. This is the front side that is by the air filter. So I bet you this is the choke. And then this is whatever the other thing other than the choke is on a carburetor. So just some Phillips head screws. try to match up the size the best way I can. Try to prevent stripping. If this turns out to be more of a job than what I'm expecting, I am just going to leave it because I believe this thing is it's been well taken care of. Now, had it not been, I'd definitely make sure to go all the way through this thing. But got my little cousin there. She over here looking at me through the window, probably wondering what I'm doing. Okay, she come. What's up, CC? I am recording myself.
Oh my God.
It's my first video.
Oh, and I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm over here talking to the camera.
Oh, okay.
Feels kind of weird, but it's funny. I hadn't stopped talking since I started. Didn't think I'd have nothing to talk about. I'd talk about everything. They know about bees.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just doing a
Where's
carrot.
James?
He's asleep.
Okay.
We're trying something new with him. He has, you know how he ain't been wanting to fall asleep, so we took his mattress out of his crib, and he's actually sleeping on the floor on his mattress. He seems to like that. He didn't let us put it down in his crib, but when we did that, he.
That's what me and Phil kept saying. It was thinking it's the preview ready for before bed.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull that little front gate off the front of it, and because you can pull that front gate off, and or I think you can actually like make it where it goes into a bottom position to where he can climb in and out.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll like that a little more. So.
Yeah, because last night, James, your son,
It was rough.
sleeps sober, and I put him in front of me purposely so he can have all the room, because I see how he be having activity. He's feeding her back. I'm still feeding my back. I'm like, James, this don't make sense.
That's funny.
But he wanted to play when you brought him in there. I said, lay down. We ain't come right. We ain't playing.
Yeah, I said,
because I'm getting sleepy myself.
It's funny because we played hard yesterday and
Yep.
he was still up. So.
I kept thinking he was going to drink that juice, but shucks, he never even drunk it.
Really?
Nah. He was just holding it tight.
Yep.
I tried to yank that mug out of his hand when he was asleep, and he just started grabbing his head. I said, boy, you asleep. Let it go. Snoring and everything.
We got 2 seconds away from stripping this. Let's try a flathead.
Okay, well, I'll let you enjoy
My video.
your video.
Okay. Tell everybody who's watching a video on how to rebuild a carburetor. Hello.
Well, enjoy your day off. I'm always going back to work when I finish these numbers.
All right. I am 2 seconds away from stripping this bad boy out. There's a good chance that I may not go all the way. I don't think I've got enough to be able to get on it with my small channel lock. So I told y'all earlier I was having a hard time getting the bolts out. I didn't want to strip it, so I've actually was using these channel locks to see if I could get enough of a bite to break it without having to mess up the threads on it. Alright, you guys, I'm going to put everything back like I found it. But I see one of these has some Loctite on it. So that may be what's holding it in there. And I am not... If I have some issues later on, I'll rip it back up again. I'm just trying to get this thing running. I'm not trying to cause any more problems than I already have. I'm here solving stuff. To make you laugh, my dad came over to come talk to me about the lawnmower. And he was showing me different things about it and telling me things that he's had to change over time, over the life of the lawnmower. And he gets and shows me that he had to replace the fuel line that goes into the gas tank itself, and there's a gasket holding it in place. And so he goes to grab the gasket, pulls out the gasket to show me, can't put the gasket back in. So now I've got to go order this gasket to get this thing back in. I just had to tell my dad, look here, don't you come over here breaking nothing else. I ain't gonna charge you for this part, but the next thing you do, I'm charging you for. But he's definitely a smart guy. He knows what's going on. Been around the block more than once, and so good to have insight like that from an old head. He ain't the most. He ain't 100% mechanic, but he has worked on some things in his lifetime, especially small engines. Him growing up as a child, everybody had makeshift go-karts, so he's worked on them a couple times. I actually did this wrong. I should have put one in. I should have put both of them in, halfway tightened it, and then came back and snugged them both down, but we'll see. Seems to be pretty smooth and easy, so I'm going to just call that good. And the way I'm telling that, I'm just twisting it to see if I feel any resistance. I'm not. They both seem to be closing off at the same point, so we'll call that good. I think I may skip this step altogether after. And so I'm just turning just a hair each time. This damn washer. So you also want to make sure you don't cross thread it, so whenever you run it in, it's good. It's got like a lock washer with it. But this joker, if you can see that, has opened up on me. That's no good. No bueno. I'm gonna see if I can close it off a little bit. Try to do it on it. So they call these a split washer. It's a lock washers, but the style of split washer, there are multiple types of lock washers. They've got star washers. They've got all kinds of stuff. Stuff I probably hadn't even seen yet. Damn. Not working as well as I would have hoped. All else fails, I got a little bit of Loctite, blue Loctite. I'll put that on there. I've got it kind of closed. It ain't like it's supposed to be. I know that. We have some experience, so it's going to get a dab of blue. Dab of this blue. I'm going to keep on rolling. I want to try to start it up today if we can. I've got my PTO. I would say it's bypassed. It is bypassed, but I've actually got it completely off of the portion of the motor that actually drives anything. So I just want to see it turn over and run for 15 minutes. And then I'll waiting on a couple parts. When they come in, I'll finish up the job. Just a dab of blue. This is a tiny, tiny screw. And well, I thought I was done, but I guess I'll show you one more thing. So I actually looked up and put this air intake on in the correct orientation. Hopefully y'all can see everything. There is let me put this down somewhere. Alright, this is the intake that goes on that air filter, or the air intake points out back this way, curves around, filter sits on top of this whole thing. This is the fuel pump and the fuel line. That fuel line goes into this right here. You've got your bleed off. I guess if you flood it, it comes out of this portion rather than to try to bleed off some of that pressure. I believe that valve stays open the whole time, the backfire valve. But I did want to show you. So while I had it all open, I tried to keep moisture out of everything, and did want to show you how it's going about cleaning these gaskets off after they were corroded on there. I've got this blade, and I've actually been going and scraping this stuff. Nothing too much. I just try to knock it off. It's not the smoothest. I may come back with that little Dremel tool, clean up some of this, but like I said earlier, I try to get a nice low angle on it. I don't have that little tool I was using to hold the blade for me. It's hard to maneuver in tight spots. So I'm gonna just try to knock off as much of this as I can with the blade and come back with that Dremel tool. I just realized I wasn't shooting at it, but you live and you learn. I don't know how people do this. It's an awkward position, so I may not. I'm gonna just try to get as much off as I can. Position this in the way. Probably not. All right. This one's really bad. All right, I'm about to work on it. I'll show you what I got. All right, that definitely didn't work as well as I had hoped. I'm coming back with this. I'm just trying to get off, like I say, the worst of it. That was a good chunk, came off all at once. So when we're working with the razor blade, I wanted to mention, if for whatever reason you have any feeling any kind of way about it, make sure you got some cut-proof gloves on. I don't, and sometimes I need taking 5 minutes to do something. I may cut myself, and now I've got to deal with this until it heals, you know, but luckily I hadn't had nothing so far. Try to be as safe as possible. I'm gonna come back with that little Brillo pad. Hopefully get to show y'all what it works for me. I don't know. I'm gonna shove a piece of paper in there and try to keep it from throwing debris back into the top of these pistons. Try not to talk and spit at the same time. And this joker's on there good. I am all on top of my damn gas pump. I'm trying to do this. And so if I don't have this thing completely flat, I am actually doing more damage than good because of the go to the smaller side of this thing. I'm doing more damage than good because I'm actually cutting in and biting into this aluminum block. There you go, that works a little better. But that's kind of why I like. Now I believe a gasket will take up for little inconsistencies that I'm doing. But that little Brillo pad thing will actually come back and do a fairly good job. So sometimes I put heavy pressure on it. Other times I'm just coming back and just scraping over it lightly multiple times. And it seems to be doing a pretty good job of but you could maybe see these little metal flakes I'm kicking up as I'm doing this, because I'm actually eating into the aluminum itself. Trying not to, but it's not very avoidable, I'm not gonna lie. All right, I think I'm about to get that Dremel tool out and do the rest. That looks good enough. Let me get that razor blade and try it. In this angle, might have a little better luck than when I was on that other side. good enough. We'll come back with the Dremel. So we've been getting a lot of rain here lately. So with everything being off, let me taking this manifold off, I have actually stuffed some of these shop towels in here. I took it off today. I've been working on it, but while I had everything apart, and stuffed these shop towels in there to keep it from getting moisture inside. We've been getting a lot of rain. It's kind of weird how much rain we're getting right now. It's beginning of August and we're getting rain out the wazoo. But usually this is the type of rain we get in April and May. We're right here to go. So we get a lot of rain and everything, but we didn't get nothing. I mean, it was ridiculous. And now the rain that we're getting now is yeah, it's just ridiculous. So this is me using this Dremel tool to try to clean it up. Try to do the best I can with what I got. I don't believe this Brillo pad's as hard as the other ones I had. I'm gonna bump it up to 15. I think it's as rough as the other ones I had. Can't remember what grit I just ordered, but like I said, I'm just trying to knock this stuff as close as possible off. The stuff on the outside I'm not quite is worried about. Not doing a lot of pressure, letting the machine do the work. Knocking off the loose crap. Make sure you got your safety glasses on. I know I repeat stuff sometimes, but last thing you want, something in your eye. Not quite as nice as the other ones. Like I said, I think I did a little too much before. I don't know if they're shortchanged too much, other than tearing it up going too much. But I'm just gonna try to get it as nice as I possibly can. Call that a day. Just mainly around where the intake, the actual hole for the intake is. Everything else, the outer portion, is not as much as the column to me, because once this thing's fitted up, that gas is going to seal it off. Alright, let's bump it up, see what happens. Definitely wears down the pad real fast, but running at this higher speed is taking off a lot more, a lot quicker. Like I said, I'm still not putting a whole lot of weight on it. I done ran through a couple of these pads before. This is my last one. Should be getting some more delivered today with the good old ammo zone. And might be good, but you know, if you can tell the difference, it's definitely much better than it was. Alright, I ain't got much battery left. Try to get as far as I can with y'all. I did go confirm that this is the right orientation, and from what I was looking at, I need to put this manifold together first before I'll put the manifold back on it. Before I put it on, I'm going off of my diagram again, y'all. So I have a gasket. I'm not quite sure which goes where. I'm gonna put the flat side to the flat surface. Could be wrong. Y'all let me know. Flat side to the flat surface. Probably ain't pointing directly at what I'm doing. We'll figure this out. We'll make it through, I guarantee it. And then, according to the diagram, this part's up. That sounds like my son might be waking up. and probably have to cut it soon anyways. And put the insulator on. Oh yeah, he's up. And then you put the other gasket on. And then it goes on. One quick tip is, man, get you one of these things. You can get it from Harbor Freight. Like, this one's a big one, so I guess it was like $4. Small one's like $2. But talk about keep everything where you need it, and exactly don't have to worry about losing anything. Comes very in handy. And I put parts, tools, everything inside of mine. I've got this portion, and then it goes up to the manifold, and like so. These go in, and I'll lay it down that way. And same thing with these being gaskets and all, you want to snug it up slowly and together. So I'll get this in there just to hold everything in place. They look like they got blue on them. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna blue them. You can tell that little bit right there. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's got a looks like it's got a little white film in it, and that's what color it turns after it's dried and everything. It'll stay blue for a while, but I mean, this stuff's old. I'm hitting all these, just cleaning off these the teeth of these the threads on this screw. But yeah, you can see a little bit of white right there. So I'm going to go back and put a little blue on there just to help hold it in place. I don't know what the thermal capacity is for blue. They have another one red. They got another one black. Black, you put it on something, you better not ever hope to get that thing off again. Red, you have to heat it up to take it off. You have to heat up the part to actually make that thing come loose. It's holding it so tight. But again, I'm doing blue because that's all I got. When I say blue, Loctite thread, you can't really see it, but it's got a little blue part on there. Stuff's blue. That's why I call it blue. So I'm going to slide this bolt in. I'm going to have to go get him here in a second. He's going to be trying to open that door. And put a little bit on the threads. If I can get it open. It is open. It's kind of difficult working around this camera, I will say that much. I have to see how the professionals do it. But I'm all about learning new skills. And recording my jobs, I guess, is the next one. So got that in there. Let this pull it and keep it in place while I get everything else set. There it goes. Now I'm getting a bite. Alright, got that. Not even snug, just got it in there. I'm going to actually slide this through because it's got a couple parts to go in before it actually gets to where it needs to go. So I'm going to glue the thread again. I put it on a couple threads. Why is it so hard to come out? There we go. then start to stiffen up on me a little bit. It's more liquid on the other side. Add a little more than I need. I'm gonna spin it around. Yeah, see, it didn't really take as well. When it's real liquid, I mean, it'll just sit in them threads. It'll just be a little more difficult taking it off. And you know when you break a bolt, and once you get it broke, you can just spin it off, and sometimes you just gotta keep a wrench on it the whole entire time to get it off. So usually it's got some kind of thread holder on there to keep it, to do it like that. It makes it a little more difficult. I don't like how tight that was going in, so I'm gonna make sure I'm not cross threading anything. What I do is I run backward till I feel it click click. Once it gets all the way to the end of where it's at, you heard, I don't know if you can hear, I'm gonna try again. You heard that click, and then from there you can just run it in. You're no good. You want it to be smooth, no real resistance, but it had some blue in there on the threads, and that will stay on the threads of the nut as well. So it will it'll be left over. It'll give you resistance coming in or coming out, and it'll give you resistance going back in. So I've got my two nuts on here. Two of them were bolts, the other two are nuts. I'm gonna put a hair of blue on these threads. Let you see it. Try to let you see it. Can't guarantee you nothing. I ain't got much time left on this video. A little bit of blue. A little bit of blue. Could have cleaned these threads up, but I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And get them started. Kiss it off. Get started. Kiss it off. And get them all snugged up by hand, alternating portions. This is actually a little tighter than I wanted, so I'm going to back it out of here just to make sure they're all getting started good. So that one's kissed off. Try to keep it straight so that, well, no pressure on one end more than the other, so it wants to pull itself in straight. Alright, so we'll start with this one. Go ahead and put this together. Alright, like I say, get it snug up a little bit, come back to the other corner. So it's got a little play in it, so I want to see how much play I really have, and see, I want it to be square. I want it to be the same amount of gap on the top. And I think that's more the insulator moving around than anything. So now I'm gonna go back and tighten it up. Alright, get it to where it's snug. Go to the next one. This is good. We'll find out when I actually fire it up and put pressure on the system. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I really wish I would have had my crescent wrench out here, but I've got my wrenches and everything. So I bought this box over here. It's pretty cool. Definitely been worth every penny. I got a Craftsman's box. It's, I don't know, probably 70, 80 some odd pieces, metric, standard wrenches. I got my son over here on the baby monitor. Super dad, you know, you gotta be able to multitask. You know, when he goes down is when I get a chance to work, and when he's up, I am praying to God and can't wait for daycare or for him to fall asleep. I'm sure any parent out there would definitely understand where I'm coming from with it. I love my little booger, but he will drive you crazy. Yeah, that's all good. He'll chip off the old block just like his daddy. You can ask my wife. I'm sure she'll probably tell you the same thing. So I'm gonna just snug all this down. You got to be very careful not to break it off. That's why I'm kind of leveraging everything. I'm not getting the full length of this handle. With leverage, the further you go out, the more torque you're going to put on it. So I'm just giving it good and snug. Because the last thing you want is to break a piece off, and you'll probably be ordering a brand new carburetor at that point in time. Like I said, this thing's been well taken care of. My dad kept, what do they call it? Dang, it'll come to me sooner or later, and I don't believe I have a wrench big enough for this thing. Let's find out. Nope. I really didn't want to put the channel locks on it. I'll be back. Put it on one side of the dab. There we go. That'll be good enough. I ain't trying to overdo it in case I ever have to pull it back out. I have, wherever I put it, a magnetic. Seems like my desk always gets dirtier and dirtier as I go. But this one's actually magnetic. It's nice to have a magnetic screwdriver, whatever the heck you want to call it. This thing can take multiple heads, so whatever it is. Make sure you're not cross-threading it, because it will never come out again. So I've got that on there. I'm going to just snug it in there. Don't want to strip out the screw, and it's also got blue on it, so it shouldn't be going anywhere. I don't believe this part has as much heat on it. Hopefully the gas doesn't get it. Never really tested blue with gas to know how well it can hold up to it. This washer is split on me again, but hopefully I can just snug it up well enough where it ain't going nowhere. Okay, we'll just pray to God that right there works. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a praying man. I believe in God. And for y'all that don't believe in God, whatever higher power you pray to, and if you don't pray, I can say to people, you may not believe in God, but I bet you believe in karma. Whatever you put into this universe will come back to you. And so I say I try to do a good job on stuff, be good to people, and as long as you're good to people, it'll come back to you. And the devil's always out there to get you. So there'll be points in your life. See a little bit I want to knock off. Points in time in your life where things happen, you just got to push through it. Sometimes you got to stop, regroup, and come back. You know what I mean? Take as much time as you need, but always go back after. Don't let something get you down to the point where it stops you completely. Because you may never know what you learning a skill or getting past something may bring you to in the next level. My grandmother likes to say, the closer you get to doing something, the more the devil's going to be after you. So when time the devil's after you the most is when you push the hardest. And so yeah, I'm done with that. I'm not going to worry about replacing either of these things, so we're going to go on to putting the bowl back in with the needle valve. So the float in, well, I would say in the bowl, but it doesn't go in the bowl. The bowl actually messes up to the bottom of it. So this is the bowl. Hit this with the cleaner one time. Got a little crud on it. Try to keep as much crud out of it as I can. Like I say, you should probably be wearing gloves, but sometimes you're just too lazy to do it, even though they're sitting right beside me. But another thing with gloves, talking about Corona, I bet y'all didn't know we was going to get into this, but cross-contamination. My wife, she is a labor and delivery nurse, and she will tell you that gloves are some of the biggest spreaders of germs, just because you put gloves on and yeah, your hands are safe, but you touch a million things and everything you touch after that is going to get contaminated. So you may not be doing as much good as you think you're doing. And so here's that needle valve. It's a new one. The old one doesn't look bad at all, but like I say, for the sake of changing things, when I've got a new part, I'm going to just change it. So this is what a new one looks like. I'll get my hands dirty, but for y'all, I guess I'll do it. That's what the old one looked like. Didn't look bad. Didn't have no crust in the plastic little pusher on there. The needle of it doesn't look bad. So some of these carburetors actually have a seat inside of there, a rubber seat at the bottom of this, and it'll have a metal needle that sits on it. I've seen somebody use a small punch tool to be able to pull it out, and then use a larger punch tool to seat it back in. Luckily, I don't have that, one less step for me. So this needle valve slides into the bottom of this float right here. It just slides in and it just sits there like that. Then it has and so that needle valve goes straight down into this hole, and it has a pin that goes through there. My pin actually had it's funny, they don't even show the pin on the drawing. I know where it's at though. It has I've seen some people actually have a carburetor where the pin was just loose in there, but it was so long that it would never slide too far either out one way or the other. My pin, I'm sure you can't see this, has little grooves on this side, and so I started hitting it, and luckily, you know, I hit the right side and it pushed it out. I don't really see any way of discerning the difference. But you slide in the smooth side first, and the groove side is the last thing you put in, but that is what gives you the resistance to keep it in place. So I'm going to just slide this into through the float into the other side. And it's going to go whenever it starts giving me resistance. And I could knock it in with a hammer and a pin. I'm going to try to be very light these channel locks and see if I can just squeeze it in there. Don't want to be too much. It's almost flush. I may give it a little love tap. So I didn't use a punch to get it in or out. I actually used the tip of a screwdriver and a hammer. So I'm going to try that again. I've got a little small vise that can hook on to stuff, table corners and stuff. I've actually put it on the leg of my lawnmower over there. And I might have had it in there when I did it. I can't remember. I've done a lot of work since then, slept a couple times. And whenever you get to programming robots, it's a good chance you may forget what you ate, what you did before you went to sleep the night before. Your brain gets so fried that you just love tap it. It's pretty flush on both sides. I'm going to give it one more good tap, and I'm going to call that good. Hope I have this in view of the camera. And I'm going to clean this table up next. Alright, that's good. For sure, for sure. Or as we say down here in the South, for sure, for sure. Alright, get that out my way. Put it up, because I use it at work. Got my work backpack out here, aka work toolbox. Alright, don't need this hammer. And just set everything else up to the side. And we'll see where I go with it. Put this back in my toolbox. So get you a good set of tools, man. Pay good for the first time, they'll last you the rest of your life. And so, my dang phone over here trying to listen to me. I ain't said nothing to activate this phone, but I'll tell you, these things these days. So I've got that in there. I'm going to put this gasket on. the new one. I usually keep a blade in my pocket, but I'm out here in my what people would call basketball shorts. So I forgot to put my blade in my pocket. I got them in my pants, but it'll be fine. So just lay it down in the same orientation of the groove. Only goes one way. You got a 50-50 chance of getting it right without looking. But if you looking, you'll get it right every time. Alright, that's seated off on there. We're going to go back on with the bowl now. So this bowl goes a certain way. So it's always, it's where the diagram comes in handy. I can look at and see that the face of the carburetor, where I believe the air comes in at, the air intake, I could be wrong, but the solid side, they got a side that has two, and they got a side where it's solid. The solid side goes opposite of the backfire thing. So I will take this, got this to the front, my backfire thing is to the opposite side. Needle valve is set off in there. Like I say, it floats, so it sits under. It's actually upside down. When it, oh, I ain't gonna flip it. But when it's right side up, when it's right side, make sure your gasket's seated off correctly before you put it on there. And like I say, this also expands with moisture, so definitely want to make sure everything's dry. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with it. Throw this thing on here. Solid side, I always double, triple check everything. Solid side, this is opposite of it. We're going to slap this down there like that. Set it down nice and easy. So when you're dealing with gaskets, it's a good subject. Gasket for anything, or meshing up a pan or something. Sometimes it may not have a gasket. Most of the time they do have a gasket. Very few times you don't see it without it, but when it's not without it, it's not entirely necessary. But you want to get all of these bolts started. So I'm going to get 2 in the corner just to keep me lined up. Let me get my one with a magnet on it. And I am not even going to snug it up yet. I'm just going to run it down. My first little inclination of any kind of resistance, I'm stopping. So I want to get all of these started. And after I get them all started, and I go in a diagonal pattern. So I do one side, I do the opposite corner, then I pick either the other sides and then do the opposite corner. If you got more than that, just jump back and forth, back and forth. Like I say, just lightly turning them in. I guess you would say kissing it off, and then after you got it kissed off, you snug it up a little bit, and then after you snug them all up, in the same fashion, you snug them all up. Snug up one a little bit. Not there and there. Let me switch over to my good one. Snug up one a little bit. Snug up the next one, the opposite corner. Snug up the opposite corner. Snug up the opposite corner. So I actually went to school for robotics and automation at a 2-year college out there in Waco, Texas State Technical College. Great school. Cost me $15,000. First job, came out making good money. Paid off my loan. Should have paid off my loan. I was young and dumb. Still paying for it now. Now I have a kid, so I've got other expenses. Got another one on the way. But you live and learn. Handle your business off top. I had a whole lot of money in my pocket as a child, or I guess I would say a child. I was 24 years old with a pocket full of money. And I chose to spend my money on other things. So I'm just working them around, snug them all up. After I've gotten them all snug, I go and just try to put the same amount of tension on each one, and you'll develop a feel the more you turn bolts. So get them all feeling about the same. So I'll get my girl Bertha out here. I wonder if she'll work. She may be too big. This right here is Bertha. I love her. She is used more as a pry bar than anything else. But if I can get her in there, just to get a turn, get as much as I can get as much as I can get. Opposite sides, opposite corners. And then I am going to do exactly what I did to take it off. So once they're all good and snug, almost tight, I just want to go a little bit more, because this stuff was factory tight when I got to it, and I didn't put any Loctite on it. They have lock washers with them, so they should retain. But I'm going to show y'all what I did, because this is actually a good little trick here. So I was getting ready to do it, couldn't get it off, felt like they were stripping. I actually put my channel locks on it, was able to get a good bite, and from there I could get a little, might be able to get a little more turn. That's pretty tight. It might be good. Bertha made it. I should have got Bertha out at the beginning. So I love my big girl. Yeah, I love you big girls. Everybody needs love. Everybody needs hugs. You never too man enough to be able to show sensitivity. I believe sensitivity, it's a yin and yang thing. You can't be hard all day, be mean all day, and then not be able to show any love. If you can't show love, what's the point of being mean? Because really, mean is something that you should hardly ever have to take out. That's child's play. You'll be able to handle everything like a man. And I know definition of man has changed over time, but for me, my way of life and the way I've grown up and what I've learned just living life is you get more bees with honey. You sit there and be mean, and like I was talking about karma come back and bite you in the butt. And I had to make sure I'm still filming. We got all that together. So my gaskets go on, and I'm very close to being done with this. So now I've just got my gaskets and my insulators, with my insulator. So these two here this one goes for the main solid one, this one goes on for the other ones, and it sandwiches this insulator in between it, these two gaskets. So this goes up. Just look at your diagram, but physically it's in the up position. So whenever you put this all together, the bowl's on the bottom. So it would go gasket, insulator, gasket onto this portion right here, like so, with the rounded parts up at the top. All this you get off the diagram. I took pictures as I went. It's always a good idea to take pictures and put marks on stuff so you know where they return to, rather than scratching your head and taking hours to do research to try to figure out where you messed up at. So I don't know if these go a specific way. I'm trying to see if snug, next one, snug, next one. Snug, and I'm gonna go back around and piss them off a little bit, a little more, a little more, a little more. I don't know if y'all can hear my son starting to talk to me. He'll sing for a little bit, and then he'll really get to whining when he's ready to come out. Just rotating it around, snugging them all up more, and this is just pulling in that insulator and gaskets. Like I say, it's a feel thing. You'll get to the point where you can feel what's going on. Getting pretty tight. I'm probably go one more quarter turn on all of them. Maybe not a quarter, see how much it gives me before I feel like I've done enough. Take your time. If this gasket doesn't, if you tighten up one before you tighten up the rest, it'll actually turn the gasket and you'll have a leak. So you always want to do this. Same thing when you're replacing the gasket on your oil pan on your truck.